Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to Hearthstone. Uh, so I'm not sure exactly how these ad breaks work or exactly how this is gonna work, so I was just sitting there silent for a while. Moving on though, we spent 45 of 50 Shaman cards last time and we went really long last time too, just setting up uh, now that I'm both live streaming and recording videos at the same time, just talking about that. And so I still have a decent amount of news to cover too. So we need to play Shaman cards to finish that quest right now. We won another pack that we can't play. So this, I suppose, what do we want to see? Suppose we could try some ranked play since all the quests today are just centered around playing cards. It doesn't matter. With probably less internet than I should have, playing Hearthstone while streaming and potentially watching the stream is a mess. It frankly is a mess. More streaming data is needed. But I suppose you can catch it live now and get the news when it's actually happening, and catch it at better quality later in about 3 months when the better versions of the videos are out. And I'm gonna have to actually chop out the videos to do that. So there's some extra work on my part, but not too much. Let's go ahead and start with the new news, I suppose. Nier Automata has its performance improved by some unofficial patches. I'm very happy to hear Nier Automata is performing very well. In a lot of ways, it feels like it's the Bayonetta 3 that I may actually be able to play at some point. Where Bayonetta 2, I never got around to playing, and I kind of wanted to, but just never happened. Let's see, this and that. So there is one thing that is slightly concerning me, is the idea that it has 26 endings. Might be a little bit of a grind trying to cover that game, but whenever I get around to it, there's probably going to be a walkthrough that's easy to follow, and I'll just keep that in mind before I start. And then hopefully, and it seems like already that they've started to work on patching these things and making the game a better experience. So yeah, kind of a shame. I'm kind of sad I didn't play it when it was brand new, but that's gonna be an issue with the idea of live streaming in general too. As like, I don't know how I'm gonna do that with other games in particular, because I'm so random and I'm so odd. A lot of the bigger people would have a secondary live stream channel, but that's kind of pointless to do with my channel, since my channel doesn't have that many subscribers to begin with. So inherently, when you're talking growth in any idea, there's the danger that you will trade off for my case, 131 subscribers. I might irritate them enough that they'll leave and not gain enough subscribers to replace them. And that's the problem with change in general. But my channel has always been a little bit about change. I only cover a game for about a month, so I'm not consistently playing any game except for Hearthstone, and I wouldn't want to be a channel. There's a lot of things I know I could do on YouTube that would get me more views, but they aren't what I want to do. And frankly, if you go down the route of just trying to get more views to be popular, or more likely just, in my case, to just get more ad revenue, then why not just go get a job somewhere else that would pay a lot more for a lot easier? A lot less work. That's not the idea. The idea is to be happy with what I'm doing, not to just do something. Moving on to the next news things. A lot of these news announcements are basically all they are, because there's not too much I can add to them. A lot of times it's just this happened. Job's done. So, Abduction, the new game by Cyan, which is the creators of the Myth series, which I think with Abduction, they're trying to do something new. I don't think we'll see an Abduction 2. So that's yet another game I wish I had played, and I'm waiting for it to go on sale. I'm gonna have to redo a lot of the experiments I did on my channel in the first couple of years. Because when I played The Witcher 3 and The Witness, those games were brand new games, and they got not that many views. And I think now that I have slightly more people subscribe to me, I think a brand new game might get more views, but it might not. So it's hard to tell. Let's go ahead and just attack here. So Abduction has gotten its long-awaited support for the Vive and the Touch. HTC Vive and the Oculus Touch, which I think the Touch are just the controllers for the Oculus Rift. So they kind of just patched it, I guess. So not much. What can I say to that? It's like, from what I've heard, people are starting to write off VR. A lot of people have invested a lot of things into it, but they don't see the return. They were probably being silly to think that they were going to get major returns on the VR things. I know the California people, the San Francisco tech people, were all about VR and loved it and all that, but frankly, you can't even really display it. The only people that have been trying to display it was Best Buy, and they weren't really trying that hard to display it. They had a bunch of kiosks that nobody ever saw, that was showing off VR. Let's see.
I can see what is to come.
There we go. It's a nice turn of events there. So normal people never really use the VR. I can't even get the Samsung Galaxy headset at a reasonable price. That's the other thing, is the price on VR things are really, really expensive. I've been keeping an eye out for the Galaxy headset for the phones, which for just a reasonable price in my mind, like $20 is what I expect it to cost, and I can't find it for less than $70. Maybe I've seen it on sale for $50 in one place, but it's never been cheap enough to say, okay, this gadget is is a cool little toy that we'll probably only use a couple of times, but I'd like to try it out. Let alone a $500 VR headset. And frankly, as I think about it, even with a new chair that spins around in circles, I don't see myself playing any VR games. Even if there were good VR games, which there aren't. It's just not... It's just never gonna happen. In a strange way, we have... what's his name? His name is the same as a famous name, too. Oh yeah, Will Smith. Not the actor Will Smith, but there's this red-headed guy that is kind of old now that was on tested.com, which that website feels like it might be falling apart, but he made this Kickstarter podcast thing via VR, where people talk to each other on a podcast via avatars, kind of like Second Life in virtual reality, and they do interviews, and like I think he started that company, and I think he's already beginning to see that it's not going to succeed, and he's trying to he's shown up a lot back on Tested as a guest, and I wouldn't be surprised if by this time at the end of the year, he announces that he's coming back as a permanent guest, because yeah, I don't think it's gonna go anywhere, and I don't blame him for trying, really, but here we go, victory, nice. So yeah, maybe if he went back to Tested, he could do something with that website, but I don't think it really matters too much. Inherently, the problem is all of the podcasts and things that I've been listening to for the past couple of years, I'm starting to get really bored of him. In fact, frankly, I just went through my YouTube subscribers, and I kicked a bunch of Minecrafters because they're either not doing Minecraft anymore, or I just am not watching them. So I unsubscribed to a lot of people. We need to play Warlock cards now, and we need to play Mage class cards. And I imagine it will be easier to start with Mage class cards. So we'll do this Battlecry deck. But like, the Giant Bombcast is owned by CBS. I was listening to many years ago the 404, which was owned by CNET, which is owned by CBS. Tested is owned by basically Lionsgate, I think, which used to be the people that were in charge of, like, I think Warner Brothers movies, and the same people that own Tested own several other things that try to pretend like they are small independent things. And we know Tested.com changed a lot when it was Adam and Janie's from Mythbusters thing, and then Jamie Heineman never did anything with it. That's an exaggeration. He did do like a couple of written things, but Jamie should have never been in front of a camera in the first place, and he got kind of dragged into it, and probably by Adam Savage, and so his name got taken off of it, and they stopped working together, and they probably would have stopped working together a lot quicker if they weren't on a hugely popular Discovery Mythbusters show. And so Discovery Channel has probably some funding in that too. Geek and Sundry and Nerdist are all owned by the same company as Tested, I believe. It's hard to keep all of these things straight in your head really. And so, like, yeah, I used to watch Geek and Sundry. I used to watch Nerdist. I used to watch G4 a long time ago, and that's owned by Spike TV, and they haven't made any new content in probably 8 years. So that whole channel was killed. And everybody that was on that channel has gone on to do nothing. One of the things I've just realized as I was thinking about it is how little success the people from Third Planet, Third Rock from the Sun have had. Consider that for a moment. That was a moderately successful situation comedies TV series that went on for many seasons, and John Lithgow just now is getting a new TV show called Trial and Error, and I don't know if any of the other actors have done anything since at all. And I'm not super surprised by that, actually, because it's not like they were, I didn't think they were that good anyways, but to have a moderately successful, the equivalent thing here is almost certainly, if you were to look in a few years and see where all the actors from The Big Bang Theory are, I bet none of those actors are gonna be anywhere at all. Even though they did announce they're gonna try to do a prequel spin-off of The Big Bang Theory, which is not gonna succeed very well. But I'm talking about TV here, and then I'm supposed to be talking about video games, and I need to both watch the time and watch the chat. And see, that doesn't work very well.
I wonder.
Let's kill this. Play this. And we'll do that. And we'll do that.
Cooking time.
I wonder what spell he's played. That's an interesting one. So, I just need to look at the clock, I guess, of my phone, instead of going back and forth between how long we've been recording. It doesn't even help now because the live stream goes on forever. So it says we've been doing this for an hour, but I know I went for 40 minutes before, so deal 3 damage to all undamaged minion. Is this a beast? Is this a beast? No. Deal 6 here. Cat trick.
I can see.
Interesting. Yeah. So, I'm kind of just rambling here. Let's continue. For one more game should be about right for this recording, and it's going slow. Ubisoft responded to the For Honor microtransaction controversy. They basically said they never planned for people to buy all the content for all 12 of the characters at $700 and something worth of money, worth of value, or 2.5 years of grinding for steel. They said that their statistics say that people only play 1 to 3 characters on average, which sounds like a great way to manipulate statistics. So if you give a range for instead of a specific number, but I mean, on one hand, it kind of what they're saying is probably not untrue. It's just that
Legions I command.
it doesn't really change anything. It's like, because the argument they're trying to make is, if I can paraphrase it and interpret it, would be to say, yes, we are completely and totally greedy and have asked and would make the completionist pay $700 for this content. But we never expected everybody to be a completionist. We only hoped. I mean, that's kind of all it gets down to. The concept of a whale in a video game is very much known, and there will be 2 or 3 people out there that do spend all the money.
We have many secrets.
But that's their response. Like, I guess, how do you spin that any other way, though? You put in your game a ton of microtransaction. It seems to be all visual content. You made a terrible game in the first place. You pushed it to have multiplayer when it really wasn't a game that should have focused on multiplayer. So, if you've done all of those things, how can you defend it? You really can't. That's as best of an answer as any. In the end, if you don't like it, don't buy it is a phrase that should be taught in schools as much as caveat emptorum is talked about as a economic theory. Buyer beware. Which, frankly, I don't agree. I don't want to get into economics, although I will almost certainly at some point in the future again. But I don't agree with the idea of caveat emptorum alone by itself. Because the United States in particular has many laws and rules that protect sellers and businesses, but almost no consumer protections in comparison. There are consumer protections. You aren't allowed to sell poison and call it medicine in theory, but there's so many ways to manipulate that. You can probably get away with it. I'm sure some drug companies have gotten away with it. In fact, I've seen stories of drug companies selling things that weren't approved in the United States and just selling the same pills in India to just kill Indians. Who cares? Whatever. But yeah, so I don't buy buyer beware. But if you don't like it, don't buy it for the microtransactions. Good answer. Wait for the reviews. Wait till things settle a little bit on games, and you would totally know that For Honor is not a game that's ever worth playing, because the truth of the matter is, by the time it gets cheap enough and there's like a complete collection that gives you all that cosmetic DLC you didn't want anyways, you're gonna find out that there's nobody actually there's actually gonna be nobody online playing For Honor. And so, very much like how I recently just recorded Dirt 3 and the multiplayer just had nobody on it, which really sucked because there were modes that could only be played in multiplayer, particularly a joyride mode where you could just drive through all the tracks.
What to do?
The multiplayer in Dirt 3 not helpful at all because it's not there. When you take the multiplayer out of For Honor, you're probably not going to have anything else to play there but the single player, and the single player is not going to be that good. That game is going to be 2.5 years from now on sale for $5 or less, if it's on sale at all. It will be given away probably on Uplay, since it's a Ubisoft game. Before that even happens, it will probably be given away as a free trial, just to get the audience up a little bit longer. I wouldn't be surprised if it doesn't go free to play completely. I wouldn't be surprised if that was their plan. Let's see. Well, let's go ahead and kill this. So, just had somebody on chat finally show up, so it seems like when streaming it takes a while for people to find a live stream, so you might go an hour before anybody even starts watching a live stream, which then encourages the idea of live streaming for longer and longer times to build up momentum and get a peak probably 2 or 3 hours into the game. And for Hearthstone in particular, that's not a hugely likely thing that I'll do. It's just not believable that I would play Hearthstone for 3 hours on average. I try to keep it down to just an hour and 30 minutes. Somebody on the chat just showed up, but all they said was yo, so I typed back hi, and I'll say hi here. I don't know if I want to do shout outs on people's names. I'm a little not set up. I have to turn my head to look at the chat at all, because it's just on my cell phone. And well, I'm gonna win here. Should I do 4 damage? No, I should just do these 2 and win. So one of the things that I try to do is I try to lock in a short and concise ending and outro. And so we've been going long enough to call this a place for a short break, put in an ad break, and see if these are even showing ads. I don't even know if they are. I may just be saying I'm putting an ad break in my videos, and when I click the button and it's not actually doing it, or maybe it's not doing it when it's live. So we got 16 of 50 mage cards played, so we still have a lot to do there, and we have a lot of warlock cards to play. So we haven't really gotten very far on the news. We haven't gotten very far on the quest. Looks like we're gonna go at least for another hour just to get all these quests done. So that's it for this recording. Stay tuned if you're watching it live. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want to friend or follow me on basically any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links in the description. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.